Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hoggcast. How are we doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I certainly am. Okay, what do we have for you on today's episode? We have for you one clip to watch, quite a long one, but quite an important one. It's about 5 minutes long, so I won't interrupt it as often as I do, but of course I will to make the points I'm bursting to make. So this is a segment from Tucker Carlson last night. Now, Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, as you know, he's really gotten used to overstepping the mark. He's really gotten used to pushing those boundaries, and because he's a left-wing politician, a globalist through and through, it's okay when he does it, isn't it? Yeah. So he's crushing independent media outlets. Can you think of any in Canada that have been critical of the relentless push of tyranny? Any that comes to mind? I'm sure there's one, isn't there? Rebel News, right? And out of all of the media institutions in Canada, can you guess which one has been unduly targeted by the government? Rebel News. These are things you're not supposed to notice. You notice that in postmodern society. If you're a conservative, if you're a part of the silent majority, there's things you're not meant to notice. For example, this guy here, Trudeau, he likes to tweet about, oh, this country is wrong for this reason, and oh, you know, we've got to be better and all this stuff. Yet if you look at his actions, he actually does worse. He is silencing, using the government apparatus to silence independent media, right, that is critical of anything he does. What does that remind you of? What does it sound like? It is what it sounds like. It's tyranny. Yeah, it's tyranny light. But it doesn't stop there, does it? It just continues to go. As you're going to see in this clip, they say, well, look, this is how it is now, but what happens in another year, in another 2 years? You know what they're like. So we'll get into this video now. If you haven't yet, though, please like the video, subscribe to the Hoggcast, hit the notification bell and share the video around. I have a membership scheme which you can join. I have 9 amazing, beautiful members who honour and humble me that they support the Hoggcast. In these trying times, in our quiet corner of the internet, there is a join button next to the sub button and a link in the description below. You can be member 10 if you so choose, but of course you don't have to. Okay, let's go.
Canada, what a decent, beautiful country filled with nice people. Unfortunately, it's now an authoritarian country. Justin Trudeau's government has just outlawed independent journalism in Canada. The government now requires that journalists possess a journalism license. Now, to get that license, the journalists have to report favorably on Justin Trudeau's government.
So, in order to participate in all of these events, to be official accredited media, you have to get a license by the government to report on the government. Yeah?
Rebel News, as one of Canada's few honest news outlets, did not get a license. Right, that's called censorship, and it's not surprising. Last year, Justin Trudeau tried to have Rebel News banned from covering a debate in Canada. A judge overturned that ban and allowed a Rebel News reporter inside the debate hall. Here's how Justin Trudeau responded to that ruling.
The reality is, organizations...
Whenever a globalist politician starts a sentence with the reality is, you immediately, this is just my advice, but they're going to lie to you. The only reason they say that is they try and add force onto their lie. I'm telling you the truth, honestly, I am 100%. I bet you $1 million. Yeah? It's to try and reinforce their fraudulent statement. And look, he's looking down, he's got that I'm about to make something up look. That's what they do. It's that they look down at the ground, which again is a tell. And they do it because that's the part of that little part of their humanity that's left, telling them, ordering them not to look you in the eye when they're lying to you. So they look down to the ground.
Organizations like yours that continue to spread misinformation and disinformation.
Don't you love those two words? Isn't it always the people who lie through their teeth who use those words all the time?
On the science around vaccines, around how we're going to actually get through this pandemic and be there for each other and keep our kids.
All moral indignation. There's no substance to what he's saying. It's just moral. And the thing is, these people don't have a moral backbone in their body. Yet with everything, the left projects. They're projecting. Oh, look at how virtuous I am. But he doesn't answer the question. It's just, oh, I think I'm better than you. That's all you get. You boil what this person's saying down to one sentence, and it's, I'm better than you.
Safe is part of why we're seeing such unfortunate anger and lack of understanding of basic science. And quite
says the man who says that men can have vaginas and women can have penises. A lack of basic science, says this guy. Yeah? This is the person you're putting your trust into.
frankly, I won't call it a media organization.
So you criticize me, therefore you shouldn't be able to talk. That guy's a fascist, just to be totally clear. Ezra Levant is not. He founded Rebel News. He joins us tonight. Ezra, thanks so much for coming on. This is one of those stories, it's just hard to believe, reading it as a longtime fan of your country, that this could be allowed to happen. Have we overstated it?
Well, you see, that's the problem. It just goes to show you how quickly Western society can crumble when you habitually put your trust in the wrong people.
Well, it's not yet illegal to do journalism without that license. It's a government license called the Qualified Canadian Journalism Organization license. A government panel reviews you. They spent 1 year reviewing Rebel News, looking through more than 100 of our stories, a panel of 5 people in secret. We don't even know what they said or did or what they looked at, and they claim that only 1% of our stories are news, so we don't.
Let's see it. Let's see this. So only 1% is news. What an arbitrary figure. So you're saying 99% of everything that the Rebel News, the stories that they broke, the videos that they showed, which in many cases just showing leftists and globalists acting out on their own. Yeah, apparently it's only 1% was news. Show us the data. That is a quantifiable thing. You've said only 1% of what Rebel News puts out is news. That means you've quantified it. You've quantified that 1% is news and 99% is something else. Show us it. Show us how you've gone through this. I would like to see your findings. Of course, you won't get that from the Canadian government or any leftist for that matter. Instead, what you'll get is a moral lecture. They'll say, well, they're just so much better than you. They're against misinformation and disinformation. Ask them the difference between those two things. Ask them for the definitions of the two and what makes misinformation and disinformation different to each other. They won't be able to answer.
Get the license. Now, we're not outlawed, but there's all sorts of sticks and carrots that come with it. For example, just last week, Trudeau announced that he is going to compel Facebook and Google to downrank non-licensed journalists like us and boost his trusted, friendly journalists.
Which has been happening for years, right? You should expect that as a given. When I do my open here, I say we've been shadow banned and deboosted because we have. We don't show up in search results anymore or at the top page on like page 16, yeah? Because have you noticed that this only goes in one direction? Always. It is an anti-conservative bias, always, everywhere, all the time. And the people that are actively engaging in this will then look you in the eye and tell you that they're the oppressed ones. Yeah? This isn't the actions of a government that is good, right? Censorship is never good, right? Silencing your critics in the media by force isn't good. Yeah, if you said this to Justin Trudeau, you would just get a sanctimonious, holier-than-thou lecture about, you know what, misinformation, disinformation.
So we're going to be hidden, and he's going to compel the internet giants to punish us. He's also changing the Income Tax Act to punish us. If you have a government license, your subscribers can write off their subscription at tax time. If you're an independent journalist like us, no dice. Of course, there are hundreds of millions of dollars that he is hosing with a fire hose at his trusted licensed journalists. And
yeah, so he's using taxpayer money to push it towards these accredited journalists. You know, the Snopes fact checkers and that, right? Whilst at the same time, messing around with the tax code, because they have like subscriptions and things like that there where you pay for them and it counts towards tax. I don't really know the ins and outs of that, but I know that they're trying to hit Conservatives in the pocket where it hurts. Look what they did to the truckers. They just enacted a wartime measure to completely strip Conservative protesters of everything they owned, even their bank accounts that they actually work for. What an egregious insult. These public sector people who have never done a real job in their life will then seize the bank accounts of truckers who have worked hard their whole lives and saved that money up. If that isn't a crime, I don't know what is.
And he's now compelling Google and Facebook to fund journalists too. So now you've got literally 99% of Canadian media companies that are dependent on Justin Trudeau and soon Google and Facebook for a huge chunk of their revenues.
Right, and do you honestly expect those to be transparent or even grounded in reality at all? If you do, I've got a bridge to sell you.
There's no way those journalists can be free and independent. We're not banned yet, although we are banned from government events, as you said earlier. But I'm worried that he's done all this in 2 years. The worst is yet to come.
Yes, that's what I meant in my open. You know, with the left, they always push the envelope. Nothing's ever enough. It doesn't matter what subject we're talking about. They never stop. It's just relentless push for change for the sake of change. Authoritarianism for the sake of just stopping your opponents from criticising you. Yeah? So, if you think it's just going to stop now, you're a fool. They will keep going and going and going until they meet resistance. Yeah?
He may well ban us yet.
Well, if he's forcing the tech monopolies to downgrade your content, I mean, it's a distinction without a difference. You're banned from reaching readers. So my question is, what about the rest of Canadian media? They're going along with this? Has anyone at the CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, stood up to defend you? Any of your newspapers to defend you?
1,500 Canadian news media companies are on the take. Now, they don't all have these journalism licenses yet, but they're all taking money from Trudeau. He made a special $61 million payment to them right before the election.
Unbelievable, isn't it? That if that isn't criminal, it should be criminal. These are failing media companies that nobody listens to anymore. Nobody watches them. They don't get the revenue. So Justin Trudeau and the globalist, essentially fascist government of Canada will force the people to subsidize the mainstream media. And these how does Snopes maintain an income? Snopes fact checkers that never get anything right. BuzzFeed News, how do they maintain an income? And then you have all of these Canadian ones, the Canadian mainstream media and gutter press. Trudeau's using your money to subsidise them so they can pump out the message. If that's not a crime, it should be, shouldn't it? Really? How do these... It's such a cliche to say this, but really, how the hell do these people sleep at night? It's probably why they project so hard. I think maybe they believe it themselves. It must be like a psychological coping method. Because deep down they must know that they are very bad people. They must know what they're doing to their own nations. In direct opposition of the will of the people. So in order, as like a deep-seated psychological method, in order to try and convince yourself that you're doing right, I believe that that's where this left-wing projection comes from. I think that they're trying to project what they want to be out into the world as opposed to what they really are and what they're really doing. Yeah?
None of them reported that. 1,500 news media companies cut up a $61 million gift. None of them reported that. So the thing is, since they're...
Where does that money go? It's like NGOs and all of these globalist organisations. The government will just print, and it could be any Western government, they'll just print a load of money and they'll say, right, we'll give this NGO this, we'll give this PAC that, we'll give this organisation this. For what? Where does it go?
in on it, they can't very well report it, and they certainly can't very well object to it. It used to be that the Liberals of Canada were for civil rights and free speech and separation of, government and the media. Those days are done.
They were just saying that. Right? Once they got power, all of that goes out the window. Yeah? It's a facade.
You can really count on one hand's fingers the independent media left in the country, and Trudeau hates them. We were the ones who covered the trucker rebellion, as you know, and Trudeau hated the truckers because they were the one group that opposed him. He hates us for the same reason. He seized the bank accounts of truckers without legal process. I'm worried that if he's gone this far in 2 years, by the time he finishes his term 3 years from now, I'm worried that he's going to start to treat us like the truckers. I don't know, will he seize our bank accounts? Will he ask Google and Facebook to delist us altogether? I know that sounds paranoid, but so far...
No, it doesn't sound paranoid. I don't think so. I don't think you've taken the risk even serious enough. If he's willing to go this far to maintain power, he's willing to be the king of the ashes, right? Trudeau would, make no mistake, be more than happy to be king of the ashes if Canada was completely destroyed. It wouldn't bother him. What bothers him is keeping hold of that power. And Rebel News, you're a threat to that because you are showing the people what their agenda really is, and that's not allowed. You can't just show the public what the true agenda is. You're supposed to. It's like the Pied Piper. Trudeau blows on the Pied Piper, the flute, and everyone's supposed to go, yeah, isn't this fun? Yay! You're not supposed to stop the music and start thinking. The second you do that, you get seized upon. Yeah?
So far, he's done everything he threatened he would do.
It's China, and they're so fragile. You're one little news organization, and they can't stand any scrutiny. It really tells you a lot.
Yeah. So that's the end of the clip. But yeah, it's true. It just goes to show you how fragile they are, paranoid they are themselves. It's the actions of someone who knows they're up to no good. It's the actions of someone who's trying to cover their footsteps, right? Like plenty of times when a serious crime has been committed, the person who committed it, if they see witnesses, they will go after the witness. I'll leave it there. I should have made that point at the beginning of the video, because not many people get to the end here. But if you got this far and listened to that in my opinion is a very profound observation. I'll leave it there. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments section below. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.